During 1942 to 1945, in Los Alamos, New Mexico, the race against Germany to construct the atomic bomb commenced. The scientific team, led by Robert Oppenheimer, exchanged ideas, incorporating Enrico Fermi's theories to explore the gun assembly and implosion method. The use of the bomb led to encounters with Japanese people, and the Manhattan Project commenced the beginning of a nuclear age. It was a discovery of nuclear fission that commenced the arduous endeavor to assemble the atomic bomb. In December 1938 in Berlin, Germany, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann discovered nuclear fission, a process which occurs when an element such as uranium collides with neutrons and separates the nucleus into smaller fission products. Excited by this new concept, scientists attempted to utilize this discovery, some suggesting developing a powerful bomb. With the escalating power of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler was conquering numerous European countries with no intention of stopping. On August 2, 1939, thermodynamics expert Leo Szilard and distinguished physicist Albert Einstein wrote an urgent letter describing their concerns and fears of annihilation if Germany were to construct an atomic bomb. Upon receiving the letter on October 11, 1939, President Roosevelt formed the Advisory Committee on Uranium, which focused on uranium isotope separation. It was until after the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, and the United States' involvement in World War II that President Roosevelt approved the development of an atomic bomb, using plutonium and uranium on January 19, 1942. Thus, the Manhattan Engineer District Project was established under the command of Lieutenant General Leslie Groves, who assigned J. Robert Oppenheimer, an American nuclear physicist, in charge of the scientific team. In New Mexico, the Los Alamos Laboratory was built, where scientists from several universities were congregated. Additionally, nuclear plants in Hanford, Washington, and Oak Ridge, Tennessee were created to produce isotopes of uranium and plutonium. The B reactor in Hanford, established to produce plutonium, was a collaboration between Met Lab scientists and the DuPont Corporation in building a production pile. With limited time, Hanford managed to construct an industrialized reactor and devise a method for producing plutonium with minimal experience or knowledge of the projects. On the other hand, the X-graphite reactor in Oak Ridge focused on isolating U-235 to use for the bomb. All three locations played a significant part throughout the project. Some of the brightest physicists, chemists, and explosive experts contributed to the Manhattan Project. As scientists began arriving in Los Alamos, the development of the atomic bomb began. These scientists hypothesized that if a uranium atom were to fission, speeding neutrons would collide with other uranium atoms and cause them to repeat the same process, eventually forming a chain reaction. There was no physical evidence of this phenomenon until December 2, 1942, when Enrico Fermi and his colleagues working at MetLab in Chicago proved this possible. With this discovery, the scientists were able to devise the gun assembly method.
At 5:30 a.m., July 6th.
The construction of Little Boy, the uranium bomb. It was believed that the gun assembly method would work similarly on plutonium. However, on July 4, 1944, Emilio Segre discovered that fission occurred too rapidly on plutonium for this method to work. Seth Nettermeyer believed that a chain reaction could be achieved differently for plutonium, suggesting the theory of implosion, which consisted of powerful explosives surrounding plutonium pieces that would cause the plutonium to reach critical mass and commence a nuclear chain reaction when detonated. Scientists had to explore an uncharted territory of physics to prove Nettermeyer's theory, which led to the construction of Fat Man, the plutonium bomb. When both bombs were fully constructed, The plutonium bomb was tested at 5:30 on July 16, 1945, at the Trinity site in Alamogordo, New Mexico. The nuclear age had just begun. Although the bomb's construction was complete, the fate of this contraption was still undecided. Despite Germany's rendition on May 7, 1945, Japan refused to surrender, leading to America's decision to drop the bomb on Japan to end the war. On August 6, 1945, Little Boy was detonated on Hiroshima at 8:16 a.m. Following Little Boy's explosion, Fat Man, the plutonium bomb, was dropped upon Nagasaki on August 9, 1945, causing panic and havoc to the many Japanese citizens who encountered the tragic event. Around 150,000 to 260,000 people were killed during both bombings, and survivors were plagued with health problems and extreme radiation exposure. Blindness, cancer, and body disfigurements were some of the many results survivors faced, but it was the psychological trauma that left unhealable scars. Futaba Kitayama, a survivor of the bombings, described the site of the explosion. Was it the flash that came first, or the sound of the explosion tearing up my sides? I don't remember. I was thrown to the ground, pinned to the earth, and immediately the world began to collapse around me, on my head, my shoulders. I couldn't see anything. It was completely dark. I thought my last hour had come. I thought of my 3 children, who had been evacuated to the country to be safe in the raids. I couldn't move. Debris kept falling, beams and tiles piled up on top of me. Both bombings resulted in a hasty surrender from Japan, concluding the war. But the end of the war only sparked the beginning of another. While construction and re-establishment commenced in war-torn countries, the Soviet Union began to generate an atomic bomb, utilizing the information acquired by Soviet spies during the Manhattan Project. When the U.S. discovered their advancements in atomic weaponry, a raging battle against the Soviet Union and the United States in developing nuclear weapons began.
I mean, they were threatening us, and we were threatening them, and so they started building bombs. So we started building bombs to try to get even with them. And fortunately, none of those got used. But we built up to where we had probably 40,000 bombs.
With the scientific information acquired throughout the Manhattan Project, man has been able to explore nuclear physics, developing fusion, as well as nuclear medicine. Man has harnessed the power of the atom to create deadly weapons, but also to supply energy for generations to come. In the years of 1942 to 1945, scientists struggled to construct the world's first atomic bomb. In fear of Germany developing an atomic bomb, President Roosevelt was convinced to initiate the Manhattan Project. After Enrico Fermi proved the chain reaction possible, the scientific team, led by J. Robert Oppenheimer, exchanged ideas and devised the gun assembly method. When it was realized that this method would not work on plutonium, the scientists explored the implosion theory. After the bombs were successfully constructed at 5:30 on July 16, 1945, at the Trinity site in Alamogordo, New Mexico, the plutonium bomb was tested. On August 6, 1945, at 8:16 a.m., Little Boy was released on Hiroshima, leading to several encounters with Japanese people. The events which occurred during the Manhattan Project changed the course of history forever.